Hello and welcome to my video. This is Zoom class, videoed on the, I think it's the 8th today, feels like the 8th of November 2025, and I'm going to do a cloudscape. And mostly cloud, there will be some landscape, but I'm going to sort of start in the middle band where the land and the sky actually meet. And I went to the brush shop the other day and got some new brushes. And I really do now have more brushes here than the shop has, which is a good thing because you don't want to run out of brushes. Okay, so I'm going to start off with something quite small. This is 50 millimeters or 5 centimeters wide, which is that wide compared to your hand. That's the best way to do it, because I can't find my ruler at the moment. And I'm not going to use the normal painting medium that I use, which is one with a drying agent. I'm just going to use refined linseed oil. This is where the fun begins. It's a child-proof top. Oh no, it came open. Right, so a little bit of that, not too much on the palette. I'm sorry you can't see the palette, but I do have a palette camera, but I'm having big trouble getting it to work. So rather than get stressed, I thought, well, I'll just leave it and wait. And maybe if I remember, I'll try and insert some palette shots when I get to the editing stage. But anyway, yeah, refined linseed oil, as usual, just enough to make the paint mobile so that when I do this, nothing comes off. Okay, except for that one there. There's always one, isn't there? Always one to prove you're wrong. And what I'm going to do is just sort of put that across there. Let's check that for reflections now. For those who have who watch my videos, of course you don't see the bit that goes on before I start painting, because I chat with my Zoomers, and my very good co-host tells me when something goes wrong. In other words, if I've got a reflection and I try to figure out the lighting, and sometimes it's a total nightmare. It's either because I don't have I'm going to keep this in. Normally I would chop this out. It's either I've got really rubbishy lights, or there's something about my house that just doesn't want to be lit. Now I see a little bit of reflection there. I won't worry because the rest of it seems to be quite even. But it's still okay. Excuse me. Trying to keep this as real life, so I've just turned the kitchen light out. Let's have another go with the with moving this. Okay, that's as good as we're going to get. Okay, I will. I'll leave that in because it might be useful to some people to know the struggles of the artist. As they say, the struggle is real. First of all, you've got to think of something to paint. Then you've got to get your lighting right, and I'm not sure which is the hardest. And it could be my cat is now tearing the sofa apart. Don't know which is the bigger struggle, painting or lighting. I tend to think it might be the lighting. Okay, so that's just obviously a bit of blue. Try not to state the obvious too much. And I just want to lighten the bottom edge. Always start dark, go to light, don't do light and go to dark. It's just the way it is with oil paint, and it works better. If you don't believe me, try it and then come back and watch the rest of the video. Okay, that may be better. So this has got blue with a bit of white in it. All I'm going to do is just put that along the bottom there, very, very roughly. You don't have to take any time and trouble over this. This is automatic cloud painting. There we are, just a bit of white. Now when you start painting, or if you're watching this video and you are a beginner, you may think, well, that's really easy, I can do that. Or you may think, well, it's easy for him, he's had a lot of practice. But, you know, I haven't been practicing this all day. What I turn out in this painting is going to be unique. In other words, I haven't rehearsed it. I don't even know what the final, well, I have a vague idea what the final thing will be looking like. But it's actually, you know, as they say, it's not rocket science. Land, sky, that's it. There's no close-ups of trees, no special drawing skills required. It's just, you know, churn out a painting, see what it looks like. So I'm going to get some ultramarine now, and let's have a lump of ultramarine here. Now this is ultramarine with what was already on the brush, so it's going to be toned down a little bit. Straight from the tube, it may be a little bit too, what can I say, Mediterranean looking. You know, when you get the type of photo that you would get in old-fashioned travel catalogues. I doubt you get them now, I think they're all online, but yeah, they always used to boost the blue to make it look more exotic. And you can get some dark blue skies, but never quite the way they were in the photos. So there's it. Very, very loose. Don't worry about what it looks like at the moment. Absolutely no effect on the final painting. Of course, having done all that with the lighting now, I can't really see my palette, but we'll get by. So let's see, what should we do next? Let's get some Payne's Grey. Okay, so Payne's Grey. Where should we put the Payne's Grey? Let's just put it there for now, and put a bit here. Always start your painting loose. This is really loose. Pull the colours down here together, and then basically, if I'm absolutely honest, just keep doing that until you see something that looks as though you might get a nice sky out of it. One thing you have to watch. Okay, now if you're painting a picture, chances are you'll be standing here, right in the middle. So you can get the horizon painted by eye quite easily and reasonably successfully. Now I'm standing to the left, so everything is going to go downhill. It always happens. So I make a note in my mind to compensate for that, to try and avoid it. Of course, if I keep wearing this shirt, which is a sort of dark grey, bluey shirt, and I just paint dark grey, bluey pictures, it wouldn't really matter if I got in the way. You wouldn't notice me. It'd be like I'm camouflaged. That could save me a lot of grief. So ultramarine and Payne's Grey, tiny bit of oil. Literally a smidgen of oil. And I fancy a storm today. So let's have one. How do you paint a storm? It's very cliche, but just feel a bit dramatic when you paint. That sounds silly, doesn't it? It's like dramatic gestures. Dramatic gestures push the paint in a dramatic way, and that creates tension in a painting. If you look at a painted wall with nothing on it, just flat paint, that lacks extreme drama. Sorry, extremely lacks drama. Once you put texture on it, you can create tension and feeling. Which is what I'm doing. So I've got a brush with pale blue on it. Just going to give that a quick wipe. And a way you can get a dramatic sky is just to put white paint, titanium white, on a brush. No extra oil added. This is just what comes, you know, this is literally just how it appears. So let's see what we get. Let's have something there. There's a bit of a simple cloud closer to the horizon. See, I'm not using the kind of actions that I would use if I was painting a wall or a door. Really get some fire into it, just sort of See what happens. And one thing that I should say is when you paint clouds, particularly for a painting this size, which is that big, okay, that's 80 centimetres, 60 deep. If you've got clouds in a painting, obviously, if you oversimplify the cloud shapes, it will look wrong. Now, there is a style of painting where you could get away with that. That's the sort of naive, it's called the naive style. And it's almost like stylization of a landscape. You take all the components of a landscape and you basically simplify them. It was very, very popular in the 1920s. So it goes along with Art Deco, where they liked squares and curves in almost everything. And I actually quite like Art Deco. I'm not anti-Art Deco, but I'm painting a tonalist painting, which is slightly crazy. It's like a cross between abstract expressionist landscape and realism, because you can use expressionism and create realism. Because, quite frankly, if you visualize a tornado, pull up in your mind a picture of a tornado or a hurricane, the sky is doing amazing things and highly dramatic. So that's what you want, dramatic. And contrast makes drama. You see the contrast between that and that there, just that bit and that bit. Just that little bit of white there. But, as I say, about simplifying clouds, don't simplify clouds. Get lots of bumps in them. Don't get repeat bumps. They've got to be varied and sporadic. And don't do this. One bump, two bump, I'll keep going on a bit. You know, three bumped sky. There we are, 1, 2, 3. Always avoid that, it's just not right. And it seems, if you look back at some Dutch or English or even American, whatever, from sort of, let's see, 1750s upwards, there was this phase when people painted clouds and they were good but stiff. Now, John Constable and Turner's skies were always much more interesting than Constable's skies, for instance. I'll put links below so you can go and look at them if you want. But Turner's skies had drama. Constable's skies had slightly more realism. And the thing they used to do, though, because nobody probably pointed it out, is they would do these 3 bobbled clouds, and then further over in the painting you see another 3 bobbled cloud. And quite frankly, I think I know the reason why they did it. And in their later paintings, I think it started to disappear. And it's because you do 3 little bobbles on the cloud, and you think, oh, that's good, I'll do it again. Because if it's good there, I'll make it good here, and there, and there, and there. And they just keep appearing. And it was the same with the edges of trees. By the edge of trees, I mean the profile the foliage makes against the sky. It would be 3 little bunches, and then 3 more bunches, and then 3 more bunches, and it just went on and on. I hope I'm not making a shadow on that. Okay, so yeah, try not to put any repeats in your paintings, because however, I have to tell you, I often take a walk in the evening down to the road, which is about 200 metres away. I go and look at the sunset and have a walk down the road and look at the sky and etc. Trying to move a bit, actually, more than anything. But after doing a class a few months ago, I think it was, I was saying about make your sky complex, but just know that you can't go too far. There has to be a point when you stop. And also, it's very rare to get just one cloud in the sky. And of course, what do I see when I go for a walk? The simplest cloud that was ever puffed into the sky, sitting there in the middle. defying me. How dare you say that about us, you know, take a look at this. So, but if it looks good in nature, doesn't mean to say it looks good in a painting. Okay, let's smooth that a little bit there. It's not going to be a big landscape, this one. It's going to be more cloud than anything. Okay, so there we are. Nice flat bit there, just for, I mean, it's sort of flat for now. It'll have some other facets to it, but up the top there, I've got to figure out what's going to happen at the top. And I think it's going to be blue and grey. Now, the reason I like this effect, right, there's several ways of approaching skies. And what I used to do, and what a lot of classical painters do, is they have light, dark, light side, dark side. Because of the way we look at paintings, we tend to see this side moving across that way. You can always tell, quite interesting point this, but when you look at paintings, when beginners start to paint, usually their clouds slant up that way, because they're right-handed. Most people are right-handed, okay? So you can always tell a right-handed painter. That's the way it goes. It's like writing, right? You need to learn to break that so that that doesn't always happen in every painting. Otherwise, you get known as the person who painted slanted skies. You don't want that hanging over you. So try to vary it. Even change hands. That's always an option. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit more ultramarine. Now, when you hear me add oil to a lump of, it'd be so good if I could get my palette camera working, but well, I'll work on it. If I've got a lump of paint the size of a well-developed frog, imagine a well-developed frog, the amount of oil I'm adding to that is about half a thimble. And that's the sort of ratio. But whatever I do, it's not drippy. I used to do drippy pictures, and I sort of quite like them. But I sort of gone off it. But why not? You know, paint as you feel. Now, because I'm painting on plywood that's got gesso, and I've sanded this to oblivion today. This is so smooth. It's like Formica, kitchen work surface, almost like marble. And that's using an electric sander, obviously a little hand sander. Don't use a belt sander. You want one that, you know, a vibrating sander. But what you get when you put the paint on is you get brush marks. You don't want to worry about the brush marks. In fact, if you can see that, I'm hoping that that picks up there. I'll zoom in at the end and you will see it. Although at the end I might have got rid of them. But you can see, if I do that and that and that and that, you can see the brush marks. It's like a checkered effect there, so just sort of keep them random. But they'll be going anyway, as much as I can make them go. When I finish the painting, if I decide when I've painted this that it's worth continuing it to a finished painting, then I will add more paint later and flatten it out a bit. But not all paintings get to there. My aim, you see, making these, excuse me, my aim making these videos is to get people started, because, you know, I honestly don't think you can teach people to paint. What you do is you teach people to see what they can produce, how to extract it from them. And a bit more oil. So I'm teaching relaxation and loosening up. The more you loosen up, the more you will be able to paint detailed pictures if you want to move on to that style. But this is really just to sort of get you going. And also, I hope, to point out that you don't have to plan a painting too much in the beginning. You can just invent, just be an inventor. Strip everything down to its basics. You have the sky and you have land. So that's two basics. You have light sky and dark sky. Okay, so that's four basics, I suppose. I was never very good at math. Or as we say in England, maths. We put an S on the end for some reason. In fact, I'll probably talk about that to my class when I finish this. as most of you, most of them, in fact most of my viewers, seem to be in the States. I have to say, you all have exceptional taste. Right, so smoothing, a bit of smoothing. What have we got here? Okay, for some reason, the shop that I go to, I think they might be closing down, I'm not sure. They sell these brushes. I don't usually give you a close-up of this, but this is, put it on autofocus. Okay, this is the type of brush, get some light on it. Okay, it's bristle. There's the odd bit of nylon thrown in there, but the little trick that I usually see from a distance, if I get this right, is to get the bristles out. Okay, it's that thick. To get the bristles out, doing that won't do it. You're only touching the outer edge. Do this. Just do that. The bristles that are loose fly out like rockets. In fact, I'll try and get one. Whether you'll be able to see it, I don't know, but it's a good trick to learn. This is obviously a good... Oh, there we are. Okay, right. You may be able to see, if I put it against something dark, that there is... No, you can't. There is one bristle poking up just there. And there is the offending bristle. So do that and it'll save you an awful lot of digging them off the painting later. Anyway, so I went out to get some wood. My usual shop in a town called Barbezieux-Saint-Hilaire, and they didn't have any. They didn't have any plywood. So I travelled across the other side of the town and found another shop which specialises in home improvement products, and they only had one piece of plywood, and this is it. So I wonder what's going on there. You can order plywood from Amazon, and I've done that a couple of times in emergencies. I don't know how many sheets I bought, maybe 10 sheets. Exactly this product, you know, not pine, don't use pine. Beech is good, or kumi is good. But yeah, avoid pine because it splits, and it splits quite quickly. So that's taken a lot of the brush marks off there. Let's just see if I can just remove that extra bit of glare. I think that might have close. Okay, that's better. Yes, so I ordered from Amazon, and what I got was 10 sheets, I think it was. The 2 sheets on the outer edges were absolutely fine, but hidden in the middle were some bits of wood that I would call rejects. They were almost unusable. I mean, I got by, but makes you wonder whether they were hiding them in the middle deliberately. But anyway, so there we are, there's a bit of cloud. Let's see, what else should we do now? Okay, so I've done a bit of smoothing. Usual technique, that and that and that, okay? So I've kept that, at the moment, basically to the dark blue. And it's still a bit streaky, but that's okay. Don't mind streaks. In fact, if you finish, by the time the painting's finished, you won't see the streaks anyway, because as usual, there'll be a slight glaze on it, just to sort of boost up any colours and to lose streaks. And varnish, which tends to change the whole look of a painting. So that's the sort of first stage with the clouds. I can see something I'm not happy with, and you may not see it, you may see it, who knows, but I see 1, 2 and a 3, lump, lump, lump. Now, you may think, well, it's nothing, it's just, you know, a bit of a coincidence, but it looks like, I don't know, smoke signals. Something's going on there, so I'm just going to hit that with a little bit of white. That thing I showed you just now about getting the bristles out, do it all, you know, any cheap brush, do it to all of them. Give them a good flick, because it does save a lot of bother. Okay, so I'm going to add a bit of white to this brush. This is a 3 centimetre, just over an inch. And I'm just going to break anything that might look like a repeat pattern by making this one go up there a bit. And this one, tiny bit of a bump there. But see, the white gets lost quickly. The white on there is picking up the blue. That's why you don't start light and go dark. You start dark and go light. Okay, let's just take that off there a bit. Now, what would the clouds do as they go up the painting? Okay, still a bit of a... Let's just join that together, I think. That'll help. And then I pull that over that way. So this is sort of compositional stuff. I can sort of live with that. Then up here, what are the clouds going to do up there? Let's show you the fan brush effect. So here's a fan brush. Now it's a fan brush with bristle. Most fan brushes, well, a lot of fan brushes, not all of them, of fur, but this is bristle. Okay, so that's that. Not a very big brush, quite small. So I'm just going to load that up with white, like so. Let's have a few flurries of cloud disappearing up there somewhere. I've always been more interested in clouds that fragment, sort of, you know, instead of just like what I call the giant cauliflower in the sky. I like cauliflower, but not that much, you know. I like it when clouds break up and drift off. And then people say, oh, look, you can see the wind in the sky. That's why they can see the wind in the sky. It's because you've fragmented the clouds. It's just another little step towards realism. Don't worry too much about what the marks look like. I mean, I've got all kinds of stuff going on there. Just sort of, you know, just go nuts. Have a bit of the same sort of stuff here. And why not there? Let's have a few flurries just going off that way. Don't be too, no, right, you don't want a V shape unless that's specifically what you're after. Some people like it, but it can look a bit like, oh, first thing you see when you look at the picture is the letter V, which is not necessarily a good thing. Just sort of, you know, play with shapes, just sort of let it go. Right, so what I need now is the smoothing brush again. So that, all those sounds you can hear is me basically just doing that. Just taking off some of the surface paint. So I'm going to do the whole skimmy thing now with the whole painting, just to see what that looks like. Who knows? It may be okay. Very difficult to go wrong with this. If it does start to look as though it's going wrong, it probably means that you have too much paint on it. Now, I've had a few comments lately about why do I use cheap brushes? This is on YouTube. Why do I use cheap brushes if the bristles keep coming out? Well, I can always get the bristle off. It's free to get the bristle off. Now, you can buy very expensive brushes, and if you look after them, some people make them last for years. Now, these people are very special people. They're very tidy people, and I'm not a tidy person. Ask anyone who knows me. So, the reason I buy cheap brushes is because, well, particularly these, is that they are so cheap, it's cheaper to throw them away. I can get 2 paintings out of a brush. If I do clean them, I just use detergent, you know, the sort of stuff, liquid detergent that you put in a washing machine to clean clothes, that sort of thing. Or you can use dish soap. That'll do the same thing. But every time you do it, because they're cheap, you start to lose bristles. And it's just not the same. It gets a little bit too bald. So that's why I tend not to do it. And I think I did mention on the last video, maybe the last one, I think I might have done, recycling in France is extremely good, as they will separate the metal from the wood, from the bristles, or probably burn the bristles off, who knows, and it all gets recycled. So part of your new kitchen cabinets may be one of the brushes that I used in one of my paintings. So whatever you do, don't sell that kitchen cabinet. Okay, so there we are. There's a sort of reasonably presentable, quick bit of cloud. There'll be more going on up there in a minute. But for the moment, I'm going to put in a very, very basic, simple landscape. The simplest and most basic I can come up with. Okay, right, very quick landscape. The most basic and simple. So what do you do for a landscape? Now the mistake a lot of people make when they start painting is they want to create a landscape that's got something in it, like maybe a close-up of a tree or a farm gate or some kind of detail that they believe the picture needs. Now it doesn't necessarily need it. You can get away with a landscape and also master perspective just with these colours. Okay, so whatever I do along here, if I put paint there, you see, it's dark, nice and dark. Okay, and that is not going to be anything, that's just me showing you. Once I put that paint into the blue that's coming down, I will create perspective. It's impossible not to. So let's just sort of have a rolling landscape, usual stuff. So push the brush into the sky colour and then pull them so that they work together. In fact, let's have, I don't know, there may be, at the moment, there could be C over there, I don't know. See how it goes. That's not a pun. Let's just keep doing this all the way across the picture. And then you've got to think, how am I going to make this line across here attractive? Now, some people do the almost hyperbolic line across, which is basically just a gentle curve or even straight. And they think, well, maybe that'll do it. And it can work in paintings, so long as you do something in the sky and something below that line that keeps the interest in. Personally, I prefer a little bit of variation in the horizon, always have done, and some kind of feature that is going to catch the eye. So in fact, I tell you what, let's do this. There's a bit of a hill there. When I pull that round there, like that, you see, I'm almost making a bay in the distance. There's a bit of curve of land going off into the sea. I could keep that if I want, I don't. It's just to show you that you can. So a little bit more paint on the brush. I prefer trees. Got this thing in my head, I've had it all my life, a copse of some kind. So let's turn that into a bit of a copse for now. This is how easy it is. I'm doing that. You can do that. If you've got one of these, you know, and the bit on the end that holds onto it, basically the clamp, the joint, okay, you can do anything with that. You can do all kinds of movements. So I'm showing you the really most simple circular movement, like that. Just push the paint in a circular motion. And then move it to the left or right. Okay, and it produces this sort of slightly, just check what it looks like on the camera. It's a sort of neutral, greeny, greyish colour. So I'm going to really simplify it. Okay, now, again, to repeat, the feeling of expanse is always better achieved when you have sweeping shapes. So even though the horizon might be bumpy, shapes below it, if you can keep them reasonably flat, that will give you a feeling of space. Now, of course, you could paint lots of fields in there, but overall, you know, the feeling needs to have a lot going on in it to create the illusion of it being a long way away, because things in the distance have a lot going on them. They are simplified, obviously, but you've still got to give the feeling that they're there. So just get a bit more paint here, a bit more Payne's grey in it, and a bit more oil. So red ochre. And it doesn't matter if you have a red landscape or a green landscape or a slightly yellow, well, not my favourite colour, but you know, you've just got to set a key, set a sort of level, like in music. Okay, so let's just put some marks and see what we get. Because something will appear. Another thing, to give the feeling of distance, it's often good to have it dark in the foreground. Dark down there, dark up there, okay? It's just a very basic thing. And as I said a while back, this is really to get people painting. I'm not showing you how to finish a painting in one sitting. Sometimes it happens, because I have painted pictures before where I've just sort of gone for it, so to speak, and something good comes out of it. And I think more than anything, it's due to my state of mind, whether I'm relaxed or tense. It's always better when I'm relaxed. If you paint something and detach from it so that you really don't care if it goes right or wrong, you eliminate the feeling that you might fail. Because if you just keep doing this, you won't. So some dark there. And I'm making texture. I'll be sculpting the land a bit more in a minute when I actually get more paint down. I'm just going to do a little bit of studio maintenance here. In other words, I want to stop that from slipping back. I stuff a bit of paper behind it and it stops the board slipping back on the easel. It'd be really good if they actually, there's a groove up the top here for the board to slot into. If they had a thing at the back, some kind of clip that came up just to stop the painting moving forward and backwards on the shelf, that would be really good. Okay. Now, often when I get to this stage, I pause. I've got a bit of white space, and this is where I have the option to turn that into water, which I could do. And if you want some quick water and grass growing in the water, just do that over it. And there you have it. I'll leave it there for now. I'm not sure that I'll keep it, but maybe. Some people tend to like water in a painting, and that's the absolute beginning. Now, if you think, well, that's very white, well, it could be reflecting white from there. It could be reflecting white from a cloud that's behind me. But it doesn't matter. You could plan ahead and put a colour there that matches the colour of the sky exactly. Say, for instance, you know, the way you work out the distance, you look at that point and this point, it's almost equal to what's above it. So that distance and that distance. So it's predominantly a light colour, so you could leave that. But you could put those colours on there first. That would mean that you need to let them dry and then do what I just did over the top with the brush just to get the grassy effect. You can do it either way. So there's a dip here. It doesn't matter. Quite like that. You could mask it if you want, just by smoothing out the dip a bit, or make it connect across. That's okay. Right, so the landscape, you see, I've barely done nothing. The eye tends to go there in the landscape. It goes here. Excuse me. The eye tends to go a little bit there and a little bit there. That, because even though it's a pale colour, it's against a very pale colour, so that gives you a little bit of contrast. That there is a little bit of contrast in the picture, and that tends to attract you to it, even momentarily, but it all builds up. Then I can see that I've got a white squiggle there, and I might make something of that because I still want people to go and, you know, I want 1, 2, 3 across, up to the sky, down, there. Right, okay, some kind of circular thing. Let's see. You could actually stop at this point in the painting. One thing you may have noticed, I don't know, but there's more red in the landscape there than there is anywhere else. That's also could be a bit of a feature. Now, if I like it, I could expand that. It's okay, I'm not, you know, not wild, but these are things that you want to look for in a painting. So when you get to this stage of your first stage of a painting, you know, sit back and look at it for a minute. Decide where it's going, decide what you like. I mean, that dark bit there, yeah, I quite like that. So let's just increase that. Put some colour there, just a bit of solid. But it doesn't even have to have much going on in it, it can just be solid, that's okay. So, and down here, let's just entice the eye to come down to the bottom edge of the water, a little bit of dark down there. A little bit here, and a few dark bits down there. Okay, now for a flat landscape, I think that's looking sort of reasonable. I might just do a little bit of fiddling with a piece of paper, but I think I'm sort of, you know, because this is just I don't know how long I've been going, but they're usually about an hour. What could I do there? Maybe I could just sort of increase that a little bit. Although that, you see, accidentally, these things happen in paintings. When you're at the first stage and you've got past the careful stage and you're just sketching, just really quickly. That's where the life comes into the painting, and that does have a certain bit of life just there. So I might leave it. You may think that's a very flat landscape, but you know, some are. Okay, so these trees here, let's make these trees have a little bit of something else to them, slightly taller, just there. And a little bumpette there. Of course, we all know what a bumpette is. It's obviously a small bump. A few little bits poking up, just to give it the slightly busy effect. So in other words, I'm putting in detail that isn't there. Okay, very, very light touch with that. Just a few dark speckles in the distance. That's how you do distant black sheep. I don't think they even showed up, but there you go. Right, so there we are. I got that. Something in there. I think I quite like that. Another piece of paper. Right, a piece of paper, that shape. Okay, right, just planning ahead. So I got this piece of paper. This is the business end of it here. That's what I'm going to be using. There's all that, right? You don't want that sort of touching the painting, so just break it off. Okay, that's the deluxe model, and it's amazing what you can do with a piece of paper, as I'm sure you know by now. So if I just put a little, let's have just a bit of some kind of weird squiggly thing with a bit of light just through there. Let's just sort of pull it across, and then without doing much, you can sort of introduce a hint of a path. A little bit of light going up there. The important part of the path is not the path. It's what the path does that attracts your eye. The path is going to attract your eye where there's light hitting it. So, for instance, I can do a path across there without actually doing a complete path. I can say, okay, well, there's another bit of the path there that catches a little bit of light there. Then it comes across here, not a lot happens to it, but the light finally finds it just there, and then it goes off across the picture. So there's a pass without painting a path. Am I going to do anything back in the sky? I'll probably add a bit of red in a moment. So I think the landscape is probably as far, almost as far, as I'm going to go on that. Let me just see what I can do there with the very small brush. Let's get a few twiddly details in the landscape. I'm going to move it up the picture for you a little bit. Right, a few bits of light catching the path, a few bits of dark hiding the path. So a slightly bigger one there. You see, when you've done this, as I always say, let it dry and then go back to it. Go back to it before it's totally dry. Let it get quite sticky, then go back to it and start to add other colours. So these are basic, you know, as I said, basic drawing with a brush. I think I might make that look like a cornfield. So the way I would do that for later, so I could add yellow ochre to that when it's dry. But the thing about cornfields, when you cut it, it's almost like you've got a facing edge, you know, like a little mini cliff. So if I just do that a few times there, that could look like cut corn, very big corn, but this is big corn country. Just a sort of edge along here. And that could look like the edge of a field where they started to cut it. It's just a thought. Yeah, I'll leave that for now. I like that. I can see possibilities there. So we've got a distant hill there. Do I need to increase the size of that? Why not? Why not? I know I sort of like it, but I can recreate that. Okay, so let's just go up a little bit there, and then down, and then just sort of make a bit of a mountain. Same old stuff that I usually do. I've been thinking of slightly changing my subject that I paint. Maybe go for. Do you know what I want to do? Because I really like Andrew Wyatt paintings, and I can do detail. It's just I choose not to. I like the spontaneity of doing this sort of stuff. I'm leaving the edge of that sort of bumpy and ragged because it would be. But yeah, I like Andrew Wyatt, and I thought I was thinking of maybe painting a windowsill, because this is quite an ancient house, and I have modern windows down on the ground floor, but up on the next floor up, there are some windows that have been there for, I don't know, 1930s, maybe even earlier. And I was toying with the idea of doing something like a windowsill, typical Andrew Wyatt type painting, but give it a lean towards what I do. So a few bits there just to see what happens, but I'm not sure it would be a class. I could probably video it and then stitch everything together to speed it up, because that sort of painting does take a long time. It can take, you know, days. But it's just something I'm thinking of doing. So there we are. I think I'm almost at the point where I'm thinking I might leave that now, except for the sky. I'll leave that as the landscape. Let's just point the camera up a bit. What would I do then to get red in that sky? Well, without wanting to sound flippant, I'll put red in it. It's okay as a sky like that, but there's this thing about red skies. I've always liked red skies. let me see. I think we'll use... Right, I'm going to use the original Sky brush, which is the 5cm brush, that's that one. It's got a lot of paint on it, so I'll lose that. Just wiping, no terpsing. I'll have this video probably uploaded tomorrow, by the way, so you may, talking to my Zoom group, you may think, wow, I don't remember all those pauses. I'll take out all the blank spaces where I'm not in camera, and just to sort of smooth it out a bit. But, they say, it seems to be that I get the painting done, usually at this stage, in around an hour or an hour 15 minutes. And then my energy goes, so I have to stop. Right, Japanese red. Okay, the sky, back to the sky. What sort of red would I use? Japanese red. And there we are, nice colour. I know people will ask me where they can get it. You don't have to use Japanese red. You can use vermilion, which is almost identical. It's not far off. You could use any red you like. It's just that I happen to like this one. There's nothing magical about it. It's just red. Okay, where should we put the red? Now, I'm going to... And I saw this the other night, funnily enough. I saw a sunset. The skies were red, and I looked at it and I thought, well, there must be a red horizon. There wasn't. It was a horizon like this. An horizon, sorry, not a horizon. Interesting grammar there. You can paint a horizon, and it is an horizon. Oh, interesting. We'll talk about that later. Right, where would I put the red? Okay, bases of the clouds, just a few of them along here. Okay. Doesn't matter what you do, just put it on. Well, don't go mad, obviously. Depends what you want, but I mean, I want something sort of reasonably subtle, not too over the top here. Not at this stage, anyway. Maybe later. And all I'm going to do is just tickle the bottom of a few clouds. Doesn't even have to go all the way across. And then I'm going to hit it with the smoothing brush, so that it will become even more subtle. And is that my smoothing brush? That's it. Okay. Now, because I've got red on there, I'm going to lose some of the blue. The smoothing brush, when you skim over a painting, will always pick up paint. Can't help it. So, you know, just give it a wipe every few swipes. So there we are, there's our red, and all I'm going to do is this. Now, the beauty of using a cheap, broad decorating brush is that it is actually a multi-brush. You've got corners on the brush. You can use the corners separately. So what I want to do is sort of spread the red even more into the painting. So I'll just use a corner, and I can just sort of push that bit, for instance, just sort of flick it a few times, just to sort of soften the blow slightly. And I think what I might do with this painting is, not today, because it's going to be way too wet. And also I've used just refined linseed oil, which is not a slow dryer, but it won't be as drying as fast as on my last video, where I used linseed oil with a drying agent, and I left the top off it for 4 weeks, so it started to get sticky. In fact, it was you could almost hear it drying as I was painting. And this will be wet tomorrow morning, and for a few mornings after. So I'll work on this tomorrow as well, and do a very quick follow-up once I've uploaded the first part, just to show you what I'll do with the sky. There's a bristle there that I don't want. And the cat has just jumped up on my palette. You're not supposed to be there. How are you going to get off there now? You're going to get paint. Go that way. No, you've got to go that way. Go on. Yeah. Be back within a minute. Now, I know if I freak her out, there'll be several shades of blue all over the place. You don't go up there. No. Can you jump down there? No, you can't, can you? And you can't go that way either. No, there's no way to go there. You've got to go back that way. Come on, making a track for it. There you go. Good girl. Right. Back to it. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I could add, what can I do? I could add a little touch of yellow in the sky. I could leave this for say 3 days, so that it's really getting quite tacky, and then just go over it with paper and just sort of push it till I, well, what I call turnerize it a bit more. But I like it's a nice calm sort of feeling to it. The only thing I tend to do with these sort of rock formations that I do is sometimes put a light cloud next to them. That sort of attracts the eye, but I won't do it on this now because I think time is possibly running out. So I think I may stop there. So, okay, so if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. If you want to come to one of my Zoom classes, if you go to my website, you'll see the details there. You can even come to France, although I'm doing, I don't know, maybe next year I might do 2 maximum, maybe even 1, but it's, we'll see. And you can come to the Zoom class. If you're not a patron on my Patreon page, that's something that will save you money, because if you spend €30 a month, you get 2 of these classes, and the class costs €30, so you buy one, get one free. And that could help you if you want. So that's it, I think, and thanks for being here, and bye for now.